Hey, welcome back today, where I want to give a word that I feel like the Lord has really impressed upon me in these last few moments. And so actually I'm going to just make this little video. I'm not going to use, I'm going to refer to some scriptures, but I'm not going to use a lot of anything else. I'm just going to really tell you what the Lord wants me to tell you today. This is for those of you today, as there's been so many over the last few weeks that have been emailing and leaving comments. And a lot of times I would come across the word numb. People feel numb toward the Lord. People feel like there's no guilt. People feel like there's no conviction. The Lord, just a few moments ago, laid this upon my heart. He wants you to know, if you feel that way today, to keep knocking, keep pushing forward and asking God to help you. Okay, now here's what I want you to understand. The Bible tells us, some of you are so close, okay? And I believe, and I've said this before, that sometimes when you feel you're the farthest away, that's when you're closest to your breakthrough. And I believe your breakthrough is coming. Don't give up. Your breakthrough is coming. Okay? The Bible tells us about, in the Old Testament, about a time when there was a prophet of God that was praying about the drought, that it would end and that God would send rain. Well, he prayed and he sought God. Now, this was the prophet of God. He sought the Lord. And the Bible tells us that he sent his servant out to see if there was any rain on the horizon. The servant went out and looked, came back. No, there's no rain. The prophet done it again. He prayed again. He knew that the Lord would answer his prayer. And he said, and here come the servant. No rain. He did it a third time. The servant went out, came back, no rain. Okay, do you know he did it a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth? On the seventh time. The first 6 times, there was no cloud, there was no rain, anything. But when the servant come back after that 7th time, the Bible said that the servant said, yes, I see a cloud about the size of a man's hand. That cloud showed that there was an imminent rainstorm on the way. Your breakthrough is on the way today. But what you've got to do is, just like that prophet in prayer, you've got to keep pushing, you've got to keep praying, and you've got to know that God is going to move in your need. Okay, now understand, the Bible tells us also in that same passage that at first they was looking for the Lord in the fire. Then they looked for the Lord in the wind. But the Lord wasn't in the fire and the Lord wasn't in the wind. Okay. But what they ended up finding out was the Lord was in a very still, small voice. That's how they heard the voice of God. A lot of times today, you're looking in the fire. You're looking in the wind. Maybe you look in the clouds for your answer. Maybe you look and think that the Lord is going to write it out on the ground in which you're walking and say you can be saved. Okay, maybe you're looking for the words to appear while you're walking or something like that. That's not the way it's going to be. Now, God could do it that way, but that don't mean he's going to do it that way. Maybe you're looking in the wrong place. See, they looked for the Lord in the Old Testament. He looked for the Lord in this passage in the fire. He looked for the Lord in the cloud. Now, I'm going to put some of these verses in the description box, so you be sure and read them after this video is over. But the Bible said the Lord was in a still, small voice. They was looking for the Lord in the wrong places. So I'm going to tell you today, your breakthrough is near. For all of you out there that has emailed and commented and said you feel numb, you feel no conviction, you feel no guilt, okay? But you want to get right with the Lord, okay? Some of you have sent some emails and said you can't sleep at night because this is bothering you so bad. Okay, remember the servant and the prophet. It didn't happen on the first time. It didn't happen on the second time. It didn't happen on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th. But on the 7th time after prayer, that servant come back and said, I see a cloud about the size of a man's hand. Now, I want to ask you a question today, and I want you to answer this for me. I want you to answer this question right now for me. I can't hear you, but God hears you, okay, right now. Do you want to be right with the Lord? Do you want to be right with the Lord? No matter what shape you're in right now, no matter how far you feel you've drifted, no matter if you feel like you feel no conviction or no guilt or any of that, forget how you're feeling. Answer me this. If you say you're numb, answer me this question. Do you want to be right with the Lord? Okay, now if you're answering yes, understand that is God dealing with you. Because the Bible tells us that no man can come to God unless the Spirit draws him. So if you are feeling you want to be right with God, that is the Spirit of God dealing with you right now. Now think about it for a moment. When someone goes and has something done to their body and they numb them, okay, I've had some surgeries before where they numbed me. Okay, when they do that, do you know what that does? You cannot feel nothing. You could sit there and watch them do it if you wanted to, and you couldn't feel anything. Okay, when you can say you want to be right with the Lord, then you have feeling. You might think, well, I don't even feel conviction. I don't even feel sorrow, but I want to be right with the Lord. That's feeling. That is conviction. That is God being there, right there for you, so close. Do you understand? If you was numb, you wouldn't even want to inquire. You could not say you want to be saved. But when you say, I want to be saved, there is a feeling in your body that you want to be right with God. God is there. Okay, don't turn it away, because right now you're closer to your breakthrough than you've ever been. What I want you to do is I want you to continue to seek God. Start now more fervently than ever. And tell God, God, I want to be right with you. If you've strayed, tell the Lord you want to come back home. If you've never been right with the Lord before, but you want to get right, no matter what you've done in the past, call out on the Lord. Listen to this verse. I did write this verse down. Psalms chapter 145, verse 18. It said, the Lord is near to all who call on him. The Lord is near to all who call on him. So if you're calling on the Lord today and you're saying, the Lord don't even hear me, okay, the Lord hears you, because the Bible here says that. But now again, let's go back to the Old Testament. And again, I'll put those words, the verses in the description box. But when we go back there, we see that it didn't happen on the first prayer. It didn't happen on the second prayer. It didn't happen on the third. But see, when God, there came a time when God saw that prayer and he decided, okay, it's time. Sometimes you might say, well, why does God wait? Well, just think about it like this. Let's say you once had an experience with the Lord and you went back out into sin. Okay? If you came back and said, Lord, forgive me, and then you felt all the joy and everything that you did, that you might think, well, hey, I can do this again and just turn around and get it right back like it used to be at the snap of a finger. But it always isn't like that. The Lord wants to see your desire, and he wants to see you dedicated. He wants to see your commitment to him. So continue. Don't give up, because your breakthrough is right here. Don't give up, because you might think you're numb, but that's Satan telling you you're numb. You watching this video shows you're not numb. Sending an email saying, pray for me, says you're not numb. Sending a comment and saying, I wish I could feel God again, shows you're not numb. And remember, no one can come to God unless the Spirit draws him. So you could not even feel those things if it was not the Spirit of God. Don't always think about looking in the clouds, and don't always think about looking in the fire or looking at the thunder. Sometimes you got to understand it's the still small voice that speaks to you. That's the Spirit of God. And then remember this, it's up to you to believe. Have faith and believe that God has forgiven you. Once you believe and have faith, because the Bible tells us he will. It says he is faithful and just to forgive us when we confess. So look at that verse, and I'll try to remember to put that verse in the description box as well. But when you look at those verses, it shows you the Word of God is true. And you can be right with the Lord. Don't give up. And understand, when you feel like you don't feel God, but then you can answer, do you want to be right with God? You say yes, okay? By answering yes, that's feelings. You have the feeling you'd like to be right with the Lord. That's answering yes, saying, I do feel something. You're not numb. Satan will tell you that, but you're not. You do want to be right with the Lord. Satan will tell you you have no conviction, but you do. Okay? Satan's a liar. God is true. God will hear. God will answer. Do like the prophet. Just keep praying, and God will move. Now, I want to see, maybe in the next few little days after this, I'd like to see some comments, maybe get some emails saying, God has forgiven me. And we sure do believe now that we are right with the Lord. That'll make us feel so wonderful here at this ministry. Remember, God loves you. God bless you. And make sure you subscribe if you're new, because we want to see each and every one grow closer to Christ. We'll be looking for you in the next video.